you're a commodity, right? You're somebody that's valuable, and a company deserves to pay you your worth for that. And it's down to you to even do your research as well. Like, for the skill that you have, for the level of knowledge that you have, what are other people getting paid? Have you been on Glassdoor? Have you looked on Glassdoor to see, oh, okay, this is actually what people with my current level are getting. Oh, okay, maybe I should be asking for a bit more than that, right? So just know that you are somebody that brings value, and even if they still have to get you on the job and train you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another Melaspace Podcast episode. I'm so excited today. We have such an amazing guest, and I can't wait for you to just hear and listen to the conversation that we're going to have today. We've literally touched on so many subjects, and I'm sure you've all heard of the amazing Kennie. Hi Kennie, welcome to the podcast, welcome to the show. It is literally an honor to have you here. I've been watching you for a year actually, because I know you've only been making content for just over a year. Yeah. So I've been watching you like the majority of last year, and I'm a big fan. So
stop, girl. Thank you. That's really sweet. That's really
honestly,
sweet.
You've built your following on TikTok to like nearly 120,000 followers, which is mind blowing. You've started a business, Pivot Place, and you're literally now teaching women how to be financially free in their careers and their 9 to 5. So thank you for doing that for us, because we need it. I need it. So thank you. How would you describe yourself for people who don't know who you are?
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you for that really nice intro. Loved it. But I mean, my name is Kennie. I am first of all a corporate girly, like a corporate girly at heart. Still a corporate girl, but I'm currently on a career break actually. And so in my 9 to 5 job, I'm a compliance officer or analyst. It's interchangeable, and my most recent role was in Fintech, so in the Fintech industry. And I started creating content online actually not a year and a half ago. So I've been on like YouTube and stuff in the past.
Wow.
Yeah, in the past I've been in the background just trying things. You know when you're just like having like just trying out things on YouTube and on Instagram, but you're not really consistent. Yeah. But then when I really started creating content properly and taking it a bit more seriously was like a year and a half ago when I just jumped on TikTok. I was like, you know, let me try out this TikTok thing, this dancing app that everyone's talking about. And then
it was the dancing app when it first came out.
It was, and I was like, I'm not doing that. But I was like, you know, let me just give it a go and be open-minded. And then I started talking about my career journey, and I noticed that there was quite a few things that I've been achieving and I've been able to kind of access in my career that lots of people actually just didn't know about. And I felt like quite early on in my career, I was surrounded, I was so blessed to be surrounded by a lot of people that instilled a lot of boldness in me quite early on. Like I was making like really bold moves that I probably wouldn't have been able to do by myself, but I was surrounded by such a good unit of people. And I felt like because of that, quite early on, I started achieving more things than I thought I would by my age. So I was like, you know what? Like at my age at the time, I was like, you know what? Let me share this on TikTok. Let me actually bring people into this world, because it's always like intriguing when I talk to my friends about it. Like I'm that friend that's always trying to just, be like, oh, let's level up. So I was like, let me actually say to people that care, because sometimes my friends are just like, we want to chill. Like, so I started talking about it online, and people really started it started to gain some good traction, and then my page just started to grow, and it's just been growing, like lots of opportunities. I've been able to build like a good brand, like personal brand out of it, been able to like help so many people, inspire people. Like some of the comments I get, amazing stuff. And started a Pivot Place as well recently, which is a like a boot camp. Girl, I've been doing a lot. Like,
you've done a lot.
I've been doing a lot.
Honestly,
but
like I said, your content. One of the things that I love about your content is you show that you can actually be financially free whilst having a 9 to 5. I think there's a big misconception that in order to even like be financially free or to have money, you need to either have a business or you need to like know people that will get you there. You can't necessarily do it with a standard like 9 to 5, whether that's permanent or contracting. So the content that you make, I mean, is like, it's so easy to digest, it's so easy to follow, and it really just opens your eyes to like another world. So
I love that.
I love it. Which is amazing to see. So what I really want to know is, how was your career progression? Like, how did it all start? How did you get to where you are today, where you're able to make such a good income with your 9 to 5 and build from that? How did that all start for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question actually. Like when I first graduated from university, to be honest, I was just like any other lost graduate. Like I wasn't anything kind of special. Like I didn't have like all the internships that, you know, a lot of people that go to like really, really good universities. I didn't even go to like a really, really good university, to be honest. I didn't have like all the things that it kind of, like the typical things that people would usually have for them to jump straight into like a high paying job. Like I didn't. Like third year of university is when I started even learning about what an internship was. Or like, you know, all the summer internships, all the things that, you know, the people that are really kind of ahead, what they kind of get into during university. So I was a little bit lost. Like I was quite lost. I was just trying to figure out like what to do. And then luckily I came across a lady actually that goes to my church, and then she was like already in the corporate world, and then she was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, you've graduated for all these months and you're not even doing anything. I'm like, Auntie, I'm trying, like like I'm trying my best. And then she kind of took me under her wings. She was already working in banking, and then she just kind of showed me like, okay, we need to like, you need to work on your CV, you need to do this, you know, just someone to like point you in the right
like
direction,
a
like a mentor. Like I didn't call her a mentor. She was just this auntie whose house I used to go to, and she would just be like, oh, you know,
how old were you back then?
I was like fresh out of uni, so I was like 21, 22.
Okay,
yeah. So I just had that mentorship, and then long story short, through that mentorship, I was able to get my first role because she really like advocated for me. She like put a referral in for me. Like she actually referred me for a role, and then obviously I had to work on my CV, go to the interview. Everything else was like, you know, on me to do. But like that really made a difference for me. And I think again that highlights for me the importance of like even just having the right people around you, and the importance of mentorship. And I always say that even though you shouldn't wait for a mentor, like I always say, don't wait for a mentor to start taking action. Like take action regardless of whether you have a mentor or not. But mentorship can really supercharge whatever it is that you're doing, whether that's a free mentor, whether that's an auntie from church or an uncle from church, or even someone that you pay to mentor you, because that's becoming increasingly popular as well. But somebody that's kind of walked the path that you want to walk, that you can learn from, that will like speed up your process so much. Avoid lots of trial and error. Because I was flopping. I went to an interview before meeting the auntie, and I was just,
it wasn't going well.
It didn't go well at all. It was so bad.
So
it was really, really important that I had that. And then so I got into my corporate job, and that role, it was actually a contract job. So I actually fell into contracting.
Your first role?
My very first role was a contract.
Did you know what contracting was at that time? Wow.
I didn't know. I just went in and I interviewed and said, oh, this is a contract role. We're going to pay you however much it was a day. I was like, oh, a day? I thought I was getting a salary, but okay. And then, I got into, and that's literally how I heard about contracting. And then I met other people and they were contracting. I was like, what's this contracting stuff? And then there was people that was working on the same floor as me, and they were earning like 3 times per day what I was earning, like hundreds of pounds a day. I was like, people are earning hundreds of pounds a day in corporate. I thought everyone was gonna be earning 25k,
honestly.
But no, so that's why I got really intrigued about contracting. I was like, oh, do you know, I really, and like I could tell that, okay, these people are living like a good lifestyle, and you know, this isn't corporate. Like I didn't know about this in university. So that's why again it's really important that I talk about that online, because this is contracting is a world that people don't really know about like that. I think it's vague. I think most people have like a vague knowledge, but not really like a lot in-depth knowledge about contracting,
like what it really is and what it entails, like the day rates and things like
exactly
that.
Like how to navigate contracting. And then I got into that, and then that job actually went perm, so they made me permanent. And then my next job was permanent, and then that's the job where I had a massive salary jump, because I went for a role that was really, really senior for a smaller company. And at first I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Because what? Like I've come from this analyst uni like last year, and now you want me to come and be this manager. And I was kind of no. And then people around me, again, community and mentorship, and they were like, no, you can do it. The people, I remember the person I was talking to, she was like, the people that are doing it, do they have 2 heads? And I was like, you know what, you have a point. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I actually took on the role. It was like this manager, like I was like heading a department. It was a tiny department, but I was heading up a department, and I was 23 at this point. So being able to like have that boldness to do that, I feel like that's helped me in my career, because I feel like you do have to make bold moves if you want to. And I know that's one of the things we wanted to talk about today, like how to earn above average. You have to be bold, and you have to be like, these people that are doing these 100k jobs, it's not that deep. Like I can do it too. I can learn.
You can learn. And one thing that I saw, you made a video and it was about how to earn above the average, and you made it relative to age. And I think if I remember correctly, you was earning 40k at
40k
23.
That's that startup job. That's where I was head of department,
and you negotiated that salary. And to me, like right now it might seem small, but back then at 23, especially as a black woman, to be negotiated a salary, that is a massive thing. Like I know you had the mentorship, but what kind of like headspace would you be? Because a lot of people don't even negotiate their salaries until like they're well into their careers. And even then, a lot of black women don't do it.
And to do
it at the age of 23.
It pains my heart. I'm like,
honestly,
they're lowballing you.
Honestly, so at 23 to negotiate a 40k salary.
Yes.
How did you do it? And like, what prevailed you to actually say, I'm going to negotiate my salary. I know my worth. I know what I could bring to the table. How did that go about?
Honestly, community. Like, I was just surrounded by people that were trivializing these things to me. They were like, 40k is not that deep. Like, if I didn't have people around me that were like, 40k is not that deep, I would have been like, oh, I'm going to accept the 30 something that they were offering me. I'm going to just accept it because, woo, I've never seen that kind of money. But they were like, 40k, that's nothing. Like, to me, it was like, this 40k that you're getting, it's not even that deep. So ask them, don't let them reduce it, because they're probably not offering you the best that they have, because companies usually wouldn't. If they can lowball you, they will, because business, it makes sense for them to just save money, blah, blah, blah. But you have to look out for you. You have to advocate for yourself. So yeah, it's just community. The power of community is so important, because like I said, I probably wouldn't have gained that level of boldness if I wasn't surrounded by people that were just telling me. And it's the importance of the kind of content that I create. Like, I want to be the person to be like, these salaries are not even that deep. Like, negotiate that salary, and you can definitely get more. So it was just that boldness. And you know, I'm a Christian. I prayed about it, and I was like, God, give me the boldness. Like, I've never been really scared, but you know, I prayed, and the people around me, like, community for sure.
I mean, I love that about you, because one thing, especially for me, I think sometimes as black women, we're told to be grateful for what you have. So even being grateful for having a salary that's like, I don't know, I'm not trying to say for like 30k is low, whatever, but even just being, for example, you go to a job, it's like, right, your salary is 30k. I know for a fact, maybe a few years ago, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm happy with that. This is what I deserve, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, a lot of black women will be like, all right, this is what it is. And I'm not going to negotiate it. I don't want them to deserve.
Yes. And one thing that I see that irks me is when people say, oh, I don't want them to withdraw the offer.
Yes. Yes. What does that even, like, because I had that mindset.
No.
Like, I don't want them to withdraw the offer. And why do we think like that? So when I hear stories like at your age, being 23 at that time, negotiating salaries, is like mind-blowing to me, because a lot of people now are still not doing it. They're not in that mindset. They're kind of operating from a scarcity mindset or a non-abundance mindset, and it's really sad to see that, especially in the corporate world. So what tips would you have to, I know that, to be bold, to be confident,
of course,
but
more practical tips.
Exactly, practical tips do you have to actually be like, do you know what, I know my worth, I am going to negotiate this salary, and whatever happens, at least I vouched for myself.
I think the way you need to start thinking, the way we all need to start thinking, is that when you have a skill, when you have an education, a skill, a knowledge, it's a commodity. Like, it's valuable to someone. Like, that company, they're not paying you for banter. They're not paying you because they need to just tick boxes. They're paying you because they need someone to come and apply those skills to make their business better, to either make them money or save them money, right? And you are a commodity. You need to view yourself as a commodity, because those skills that you have, even if you feel like, oh, I'm just starting out, you've gained a degree. That's value, right? You've gained so much knowledge. Any little experience that you've got, you're a commodity, right? You're somebody that's valuable, and a company deserves to pay you your worth for that. And it's down to you to even do your research as well. Like, for the skill that you have, for the level of knowledge that you have, what are other people getting paid? Have you been on Glassdoor? Have you looked on Glassdoor to see, oh, okay, this is actually what people with my current level are getting. Oh, okay, maybe I should be asking for a bit more than that, right? So just know that you are somebody that brings value. And even if they still have to get you on the job and train you, there's times where I've been earning hundreds of pounds a day in contract roles, and I still go on the job and they still show me, like, okay, this is how you do the system. Nobody's fully arrived yet. So don't feel like, oh, because you feel like you don't know everything, that you can't ask for a good amount of salary, because you can. And the company, like, for them to invite you over to an interview, they've seen your CV and thought, oh, this is value. It's not pity. Nobody has anyone. If they can keep that money, they'll keep it.
It's true.
So the fact that they've seen your CV and thought, oh, we want to interview this person, want to give them a job offer, trust me, you're somebody that
you're already on your way there.
You're already on your way there. So don't think they're gonna withdraw. And if they withdraw, like, I don't think I've heard of any stories like that. And but I'm sure it's happened to someone where a company's withdrawn it. You dodged the bullet. Because what kind of toxicity is that?
Exactly.
Sorry, but this is the norm. When you go to a job, you're expected to negotiate. They're expected to try and lowball you because they have finance quotas to reach. So they have to try and save money. So now it's your job to advocate for yourself and be like, actually, based on the market value, based on this skill, based on this thing that I did, based on this thing that I bring to the team, I think that you should meet me here.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to say, that if a company withdraws your offer, like I haven't personally heard it, but if they do, that is a red flag. And
that's
really,
a red flag.
you're asking yourself, do you want to work for a company like that? You really don't.
You don't.
And
because you'll suffer when you get there.
You will suffer. I've been suffering.
You will.
You will suffer. So you don't want to do that.
No.
So I think, so recognize what the red flags are. And you're right, kind of assess the market, like, what salaries are already out there, and who's to say those salaries are already out there? Who said you can't do 10k more, 5k more? I think what you're saying is right. You definitely need to see yourself as a commodity. Like, you have value. People are not hiring you for vibes.
No, they're not.
Like you said, it's to save time, or it's to make more money, or whatever. That's what they're hiring for. And if you have those skills, you have the experience, you have whatever it's a degree or whatever level that you need to be. Why can you not offer your worth? You know what I mean? That makes a lot of sense.
And I feel like I have to caveat that, however, with the fact that not every single negotiation is going to be successful. Like, don't go and now be a bulldozer and be like, oh no, but I need to get this amount, and because then you're giving off the wrong impression of yourself. Like, a negotiation is expected to happen, so they'll low-key expect you to negotiate, and then you can go back and forth a couple of times. But if they're saying that, okay, listen, this is the budget, like, know when to use your discretion and be like, okay, fine, I'll accept this. Don't bulldoze your way through a negotiation, and never go into a negotiation feeling entitled to more, because sometimes they actually don't have more, and that's like, and you can
assess it by their tone and everything.
By their tone, by the size of the company. If it's a small startup company and you're trying to squeeze 10k out of them, they don't have it. So use your discretion as well. But always, try and approach negotiation with gratitude and try and approach it with facts.
True.
Right?
That is actually true. Gratitude and facts, and abundance mindset too. Like, don't go there thinking, oh my gosh, what if they withdraw the offer? And don't go there thinking, oh my gosh, you've assessed the market, but you're going to add another 30k more, because where did that come from?
Let's not do too much.
Let's not do too much, but still use discretion, but operate from an abundance mindset.
100%.
That's 100%. That's what I would say.
Yes.
On the topic of contracting, like I said, it's quite a new topic that has come about on social media. Like, we hear about it here and there, but we don't fully understand it. So for someone that wants to really get into contracting, how would that happen? Maybe they're coming from a permanent role, or like yourself, that just when you first started came out of uni. How do they actually find roles? How do they get into it and kind of navigate that space?
First of all, I would say, like, the thing about contractors, right? When employers are hiring contractors, typically they are expecting you to be somebody that's kind of experienced in your field already, because the reason why a company would hire a contractor in the first place is because they have a project that they're working on, for example, maybe like for example, an IT transformation project, for example, and they want like a contract business analyst to come in, because maybe their business analyst is on maternity leave and they need someone to come in for like 6 months, a year, 18 months, depends. Or they just don't have the head count in that moment in time, and they just need to finish up that project, and once that project is done, they can add it to their business as usual, and then contractors can go away. There's lots of different types of projects, but they usually would expect you to have some sort of like knowledge, expertise. So I think it's advisable to not focus too much on contracting, and especially don't go into contracting too early on in your career just for the money, because actually I believe in like really focusing on honing your skills and really learning your skills at the start of your career, because you need to know what you're doing, and sometimes learning and chasing the money doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. Like, I feel like at the start it's good to just kind of like focus on, I want to just learn, I want to become good at this, because trust me, when you become good at it, and when you build up your confidence, you will be commanding money. Like,
obviously.
Like, it will be chasing you. Like, the recruiters will be in your DMs every week asking you, are you available for this? But I think it's important to just like, at the early stages of your career, straight out of uni, I know I fell into a contract role, but I fell into it. I wasn't looking for like, I need to be earning the most possible right now. Of course, I wanted to earn as much as possible, but I wouldn't chase money too early. I just feel like I have a responsibility to say that. Right. And then once you've got like a little bit of experience, then you can, because I was permanent for a couple of years, like a few years before I went back into contracting in the Big Four. So I think it's important to just like know what you're doing. Like you need a level of confidence to be like, okay, I can go into this role and actually like know what I'm doing. Like, so yes, they're going to show me the systems and how to do this and, you know, just get me used to the environment. But it's important that you know what you're doing in terms of the skill they're hiring you for. And usually it's like skills they're hiring you for. So like business analysis, in my case, it's compliance analysis, or in some cases it's like project management. It's like usually skills. So make sure if you want to go down the contracting route, know what kind of skill that you have. That you can go contracting in. Right, so just have that knowledge, for example, if that's something that you're thinking about doing. And also just look online. Like there's contract roles everywhere. There are some contractor websites as well, where they specifically like advertise contract roles as well. LinkedIn is really good. Like personally, I'm connected with recruiters that specialize in contract roles for my field. So like literally, if you go on my LinkedIn, if you log into my LinkedIn, my feed is full of like recruiters. This contract is live now. So that's what, if you want to go into contracting, that's what you need your LinkedIn feed to be looking like recruiters in your field that work on contract roles. And actually typically the interview process for contract roles are quite easy, like a lot easier than perm, right? Because you have that particular skill. Yes, but also they are not looking for someone who's necessarily going to like fit in the culture and their values. You know, all these like value questions that you get, because they went for permanent people, they're almost looking for you to like come and fit in, and this is like your long-term thing. But for a contractor, they just want you to come in maybe for 6 months. If you get extended, 18 months. Some people I know have been contracting in one place for like 10 years and keeps getting renewed and renewed and renewed. But just make sure it's easier. Basically what I'm trying to say is that the interview process for contract roles is typically easier. Like one of the contract roles I had was a 30-minute interview, and we're just chatting. It's probably just to see how you just generally are, and if your skills actually match, if you can do whatever the project entails, right? Exactly, because they can see from your CV, they know that, okay, you've worked here, they can get a reference to confirm they've actually worked there. And sometimes it's just a matter of, are you available now? Are you available in a week? Okay, come on, like jump on. Because what they can also do, if they feel like you're not up to scratch at all, like obviously if they've brought you on very easily and they haven't vetted you that well, and then you come onto the job and it's like you're just not that you have to be perfect or like super expert, but if you're just clueless, then they can literally get rid of you. That's true. I guess that ties in into saying like, what are the positives and the negatives of being in a contract role? Because I know they can literally, like you said, they can drop you off quite easily. You don't have that same security that you might have in a permanent role. So what are the pros and cons of being in that? I think if anyone's like looking to go into contracting, like definitely assess like your level of like, how comfortable are you with like a degree of uncertainty? Like how comfortable are you with the fact that in 6 months time, this job that I'm taking on, this contract role that I'm taking on, they might not need me anymore, and I'm gonna have to go look for another job. How comfortable are you with that fact? Does that fill you with like fear and anxiety and like, nope, could never do that? Then actually maybe contracting isn't for you, unless maybe you find like a year's contract. So you can find like a year contract, and that can give you a bit more clarity and peace of mind. But just understand yourself as well, because it's not for everyone, to be honest. But I think it's perfect for someone like me, and like it's perfect for like, I know people around me that are they're career contractors. That's all they do, because it's just perfect for them. Because maybe they want that flexibility. Like right now I'm on a career break because I'm a contractor, so I could leave my previous contract role, and then in 6 months time go look for another contract role, and I'm cool with that. And because I've also got other things going on outside of work, so it's important to just know your own situation, and don't think, oh, because that person's a contractor and they're earning so much money, I need to go and be a contractor, because it might not like, yes, you might be earning the money, but it might not really work well with your personality. So it's really important to know yourself and make sure that it works for you. I guess another question that I have is the skills. So you talk a lot about high income skills. For those who don't know, what is a high income skill? And what you also talk about roles that you don't necessarily need to know how to code in order to get like tech roles in contracting. So what roles are out there that are based on these high income skills that anyone can literally start learning? And I guess this ties in with Pivot Place, because you teach this in your courses, right? So it's not even a course that I do, actually. It's a boot camp. So it's like literally like lessons, like classes, and it's like a whole team. We've got like a team doing it. And So we like in the pivot place, we basically train people on like high value skills.
Wow.
And we've started with a couple at the moment. We might expand to more, but right now we're focusing on business analysis and Scrum Master roles.
Okay.
Because those are roles that are actually really in demand at the moment. Like even on the UK government's website, if you go on there, literally right now, business analyst role is like there's a shortage, and to the point where they're like sponsoring people that have come into the country
Really?
to become business analysts.
Wow.
Because there aren't enough business analysts in the UK. And Scrum Master as well, they work in that similar environment. So like if you go online, thousands of vacancies right now, but there aren't enough people that are like trained in those skills to actually be able to do it. But they're actually they're high income skills, because you know, in the environment where you need those people, that it's like tech environments where you'd usually command a higher salary or day rate anyway. So high income skills are basically skills that you can learn, and they command a lot more money compared to like other skills. Like skills are worth more than others. You know how I said like skill, if you have a skill, it's a commodity.
Yes.
But some are worth more than others. And actually
yeah.
sometimes when you take a skill and go into a different environment, like a different industry, like if you're a project management in, I don't know, an industry like maybe health sometimes, and then if you take that same, you might be earning a certain amount, but if you take that same project management and you go into tech, you might find yourself earning so much more money. But then some skills are just worth more than others. It's like cleaning the house is a skill. Yeah, it is a skill.
It is. Yeah.
So, but coding is also a skill, which is worth more.
Yeah.
So it's like true. You deciding that, okay, like based on my current skill set, based on my current situation, what can I add to my current skills? Because there's also skill stacking. So sometimes when you have like a unique set of skills that a company will really need, like one person can have such a unique set of skills, that's worth more as well, because now you're like niche, like you're like a specialist, and like you're rare, and there isn't that many of you, but there's also a demand for it, and that's how you can really start to command more money when you like continuously upskill and like add to your level of skill, or like look at where you can like place that skill and it's worth more in a different environment. Really which is why so many people are like, I want to get into tech.
It's true. And a lot of people want to get into tech, but not necessarily don't know how to code or want to learn how to code. So thank you for designing such a space, because I've been on the website on Pivot Place, and it looks cute. So good. Thank you. It looks so good.
Designer, he's great.
I mean, you really designed your website. It's amazing. His name is Tisliv.
He's amazing. He's a UX designer. Like that's his day job, but he also does it for the Pivot Place.
It looks amazing.
Thank you, girl.
I've seen like I know it's a boot camp, but the little lessons that you have on there. And I would say I think that's a really good starting point. And you even did like internships, no? So literally the Pivot Place is like a boot camp, but then we also offer like all the students that go through the boot camp get an internship as well. Wow. So you get hands-on experience, because I feel like a lot of boot camps is like, okay, you learn, but then where's the hands-on experience to like practice what you've just learned? Exactly. And then also I come in as a career coach within the boot camp as well. So like interview skills, like CV, job search, accountability. We do like all the students have that within just one package. That is amazing. I'll put a link to it. Yeah, make sure in the video, because I really do think it's such an amazing opportunity, and creating spaces like this where you're making it more accessible to get into these high income jobs is amazing, and it's something that we didn't see few years ago. So to have it now, and for the next generation of aspiring people that want to, get into STEM, get into tech, get into these high paying roles, you're paving that way for them. No, I really appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And people think that tech is becoming like more saturated, but it's actually not. There's more roles being created. I know there's like in different countries, there's different situations, and there was a situation of like overhiring, and now they're having to like let people go. But actually, when you look away from that, the demand is increasing, because the world is becoming increasingly digitalized. Lots of businesses are becoming like, if you're a business and you're not digitalizing the way you're doing things, you're falling behind the competition. You really are. So it's actually, there's more demand, but because of like the layoffs that we keep seeing, it seems like the industry is dying, but it's not.
It's not. The world is becoming more digital.
It is.
I mean, I'm pretty sure one day money will be digital. So like that just shows you like jobs are going to open up, and get skilled now, so then in a few years time, where you've built that skills, you've built that knowledge, you've built that experience, you can start earning really good money in these roles.
Really
So I definitely suggest that. I think me too.
Yes.
I need to learn. Business analysis has always been something that I've kind of like had my eye on, but never really known like how to like really get into it or really understand it. So it's definitely something definitely that I'm gonna
make sure
into.
You can even join the free community. It doesn't have to be free camp. And people give like info and lessons and all of that within the community.
Definitely I'm gonna look into it.
Make sure
It's good. What are the pros of being in contracting?
Yeah, I mean, contracting is if it's something that fits with your personality and you feel like this is something that you can do, then it can be very, very lucrative, to be honest. Like the amount that, for example, a lot of people, like the last contract I had, the amount I made in half a year is like more than the average for in that role for the year. Like what people that are permanent would earn for the whole year, and that was in 6 months. So it's like it can be really lucrative. So obviously if you work the year, now you're earning like double what your counterparts are earning for doing the exact same job. But it's just the fact that you're contracting, so you can command a higher day rate because of the temporary nature of it. So they know that we only need you for 6 months, so we need to attract you. And because a lot of the time contract roles don't come with like a lot of all the benefits that you get sometimes, like all the healthcare and stuff like that. So they include all of it, which a lot of the time people don't end up using anyway. But they include all of it in your day rate. So it's kind of down to you what to do with your day rate. And depending on the type of contract as well, I'm not going to get too into it, like technical, like it's not complicated. It's just that we don't have time for me to explain it. But it's like inside IR35 or outside IR35 contract. So it kind of depends on the kind of contract as well. But it can be really lucrative. Like in terms of me being able to like save up, buy my house, and do other things, travel, all these things I've been able to do. Take a career break. Contracting has played a huge part in that because it's just supercharged my savings.
That is crazy.
So much.
I think one question that I want to know is, how do you figure out what your day rate is? Is it a matter of assessing what other people, well, I'm not sure if you know what other people are earning in their day rates. But how do you come about figuring out that number of what your day rate should be?
Yeah. So in my career, I've built up I always keep a network of like ex-colleagues, like we stay in touch with each other, and we're very open with each other as well. So I think it's actually really important when you're able to be open with your colleagues and be able to talk freely about what you're earning. I think that's so important because now you know what people are earning. You know that this is what this person's earning. This is what that person's earning. Go on Glassdoor, just talking to people. Like I've been so blessed with like the kind of colleagues I've had and just the relationships I've been able to build with them, and we can literally just text you about, I'm earning this amount now, this is how much I'm earning. So now I know, this is what I can command in my next role. It's really important. But if you're just there in your little bubble and you don't know what this person's earning, you don't know what that person's earning, you're going to be lowballing yourself because you just don't, like it was when my colleague started telling me, I remember, I'm not even going to say her name because I'm not sure but my ex-colleague, when we were catching up and she was telling me how much she was earning, I was like, what? You could earn that in this industry? Girl, tell me what you did to get there. So now I'm like, I need to go and brush up on this skill, It's really important to just like, and I think a lot of what I've said is so like community focused. Because it's like no man is an island. Like you learn by the people around you and just building those relationships. Like don't sleep on the relationships that you can have with your ex-colleagues because like you guys are all trying to navigate the same career together. You might as well share tips with each other.
You might as well share. I think this leads, I was going to talk about this a lot later in the pod, but I might as well speak about it now. But networking and community. So you've spoken about having people around you that are like advocating for you, mentorship, the fact that you still keep in touch with your ex-colleagues. Do you network too, or how, and if you do, how's it kind of helped you, and where do you kind of start? And for those that maybe don't necessarily have that community, what advice would you give to kind of like put that best foot forward to get there?
I think I would definitely like to start that by saying like networking doesn't have to look so formal, right? You know, when we think of networking, we think, you go to this conference, you go to this event, and then you're shaking hands with these strangers and trying to force it, and trying to not necessarily force it, but trying to like build this relationship,
like professional,
so formal. Like networking is the fact that I still have a good relationship with my ex-colleague. That is networking. Networking is the fact that there's an auntie from church and I'm just like, she's in corporate. Okay, cool. Like, we're actually cool. Let me ask her about that. That's now she's in your network. My ex-colleagues are my network. My ex-managers that I'm still cool with, that is my network. Like networking doesn't have to, and also something that's really key, especially when you're young, networking doesn't always have to look like, oh, networking with the person that you're looking up to.
Oh, okay.
Networking can look like networking, like I said, your ex-colleagues. It can be direct. You'll be so surprised how much you can learn, or even who that person might know, who's their auntie, who's your friend's auntie, who's your friend's uncle. Have you asked them to introduce you and get like on a call to their uncle who you think is doing well?
Yeah,
that's just an example, but that's literally how networking can be. Like my partner, there's times I'll be like, oh, do you know what, that friend of yours, or that your brother's friend that's doing this and that, he's looking like, he seems like he's kind of doing what I want to do. Is there a way for us to arrange a call? And he'll do it. And now I'm talking on the phone to him, asking him for tips, all these kind of, that is networking. So it's just like, networking is like looking around you and being like, okay, who can I access through this person that I know? And, you know, and just building relationships as well. And there's nothing wrong with going to the networking events, actually. That is also another avenue. But my point is that that isn't the only avenue.
It's not the only way.
Yeah, it's not the only way.
I think that's a good point. Look at who's already in your circle and what connections that they have. Because you're right, a lot of the time people think that you need to go on Eventbrite and see the next networking event. And then you get there, you're not really getting a lot out of it.
You're missing out on so many people around you already that you can easily access, that someone can introduce. And you know what? The strongest network is when there's an introduction. Like, because now that person can kind of take you more seriously, because now they have this other person.
There's a mutual.
If there's a mutual, it's so much easier to network, and then you can build it from that way. You can build your way up that way. But a networking is just basically who you know and who you can reach out to and ask for stuff, and vice versa as well. And I think it's really important. A mistake that I see with networking is not approaching it from a very selfish place, and also not being super short-sighted about networking, and not being like, oh, because this person can't help me right now, or go away. Like, I don't need to talk to you.
You never know what they could do for you in the future, or where they would be in the future. I think one thing I want to add on to that too is don't be scared to reach out to people online. I think what is really the worst that could happen is that they don't reply, or they say maybe they don't have the time. But I always say this, I think, like I say in every single episode, is that there's just so much beauty in collaboration. There's so much beauty in messages. I mean, we won't be sitting out here if I didn't connect with you online, you know what I mean? There's I think we need to really open ourselves to like different opportunities that are out there, and create our own opportunities. Message people online, DM them, find their email. It's really not that hard.
It's not.
It's not that hard, trust me.
Like, shoot your shot, you know, sometimes.
You have to shoot your shot. You have to create those doors and create those opportunities, and that's how you also start building your network too, and you become 100%. Friends, and you never know where that person will be in that future, or where you may be in the future, where you can actually help that person to whatever capacity that may be. So you're definitely right. Look at your inner circle, look at online. You don't have to like go to the events. Of course it's good, but you don't have to. You don't really have to,
especially if you haven't exhausted your circle first, or the people just outside of your circle. I think that's really important.
Definitely. Great.
We've covered networking.
So moving on to latest news, you're currently on a career break.
I am,
which is like amazing to hear.
Thank you.
So what made you decide to take a career break? And I know you probably put steps in place in order to be able to actually reach a career break. So how has that been for you, and how are you finding it, having free time? Obviously you're working on other projects, so how are you finding that?
Thank you. The career break, so why did I take a career break? I feel like I was just burnt out, you know. Like, I was actually just burnt out. Like, I had so much on my plate, like I had so much going on. Like the whole social media thing, like that's a whole job, by the way. Like, that's a gig, that's a full-time job, especially when you now start working with brands, and the brands start reaching out to you and all these things, and then you have engagements and all these things. Like, it's a job, especially if you have a job where you want to be present and you want to commit and you want to give it your best. It's quite tricky. Like, a lot of people that you see juggling, you know this because you're doing this part-time as well, aren't you? So it's not easy. So I think I got to a place, and then I was like planning a wedding, and I just had a lot going on basically, and I was like, you know what, I need to take a step back and just kind of like free up my time a little bit, because right now I'm running around like a headless chicken. Like, my weekends weren't free anymore, so I didn't really have any downtime. I was just always on the doing something. So I was like, let me take a step back. I am a contractor after all. So I can,
one of the perks.
So I can just, take a step back and maybe like go back into another contract. So I was like, I can do that. And to be honest, that because personal finance is something I talk about a lot online as well, and just the importance of that, the importance of building that habit of like being good with your money, because that really can buy you freedom. And that's brought me back this time that I have to like explore other things, and it's invaluable. You know, when you can actually get yourself to a point financially because you're being intentional with your finances, that plays a huge part. Because if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't have the buffer to be able to like, I'm going to take a step back from work.
Yeah.
So that's really important. Like actually being intentional with your money and not, you know, and just being intentional about it.
Exactly.
Really.
I think on the topic of money, I saw you posted a video of 100, let me remember correctly. Is it your multiple streams of income that's made you 100k?
Yes.
And that's mind-boggling to me. Like everything you do is like mind-boggling.
It was to me too. Once upon a time, I was like 100k.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess what I want to know is, what are your streams of income that has like made you 100k? That's like financially freedom to like a lot of people, and to a lot of people it is. It's a huge amount of money. So what are your streams of income in order to get that? Obviously contracting was a major role.
Yes.
But there's other avenues. I'm not sure if you invest
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you?
Yeah, so my streams of income, so let me like taking stock of 2023. So it was my 9-to-5 job.
Yes.
So I was still working before I took my career break. Content creation is actually a huge thing. Like content creation can be quite lucrative, you know, with the right like branding and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into it. But content creation, and then from content creation comes like other stems. So like maybe speaking engagements, brand deals, and then coaching as well. So because now I talk about careers online, people, you know,
mentorship,
people reach out for me for coaching, mentorship. So I have like packages that I put together, and I help people with that as well. So
I'm gonna inquire about that for
myself. Girl, I'm sure you're good. But feel free.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, like coaching, mentorship as well. What else? I don't sell, so I did an event as well so I'm doing it, and I plan to do more events this year to just make those. So for people like, for example, that maybe the one-to-one coaching is a bit of an investment for them right now, and they can't really prioritize and afford that. Do events where we're still sharing knowledge, but it's like it's not a lot of money. So but for me, that's obviously a stream of income, but it's so helpful for people to be able to be in those environments where you can like, I can bring on guests and we can literally like have a masterclass on like this particular, like I did a contracting masterclass last year. I don't know if you saw. So just things like that as well. That's a stream of income as well. I feel like my streams of income are really tied to me just being able to like help people, like help my audience and add genuine like value. But and that's with any business, to be honest. It's like where you can add value, then you can, you know, earn money.
You can monetize on that.
And then finally, I don't think I mentioned the investment as well, because I did buy my first property a couple of years ago. So for me, that's become an investment because I've now rented out my spare room and bathroom to a lodger. So she pays the rent. So she pays rent every month. So that's another kind of stream of income for me. So for me, so now that my 9-to-5 is out of the equation, I have those things to kind of fall back on as well, to still like bring in an income.
I think it's so important to build multiple streams of income and monetize on your skills. Like your skills on helping people, you've turned that into coaching, you've turned it into mentorship, and you're running a digital like online academy course, everything. So like just monetizing on your skills and your personality, and then building it into content creation. It just shows you there's so much possibility.
So much is possible. So much is so possible. But another thing with the multiple streams of income there, because I feel like multiple streams of income has become kind of glamorized online though. It's like, you know, multiple streams of income, and I like to see things from a balanced perspective. I don't like to sell a dream or sell like a lifestyle,
of course,
where really and truly it's not really kind of what it seems, right? So it's good, and I generally do have those multiple streams of income, but however, I think that it's really important that, especially when you're young, you don't try to like spread yourself too thin trying to pursue too many streams of income at once, because what happens is that now you're spreading yourself thin and you're not really having the time to focus on, like, there's just a lack of focus.
That you love. Time gets taken. I mean, like you said, there's a balance. You gain one thing, but you kind of lose.
So it's all about balance. And don't think because you're hearing people talk about 5 streams of income or 7 streams of income, you have to start 7 businesses.
And
I know that sounds silly, but I've seen that before, where people think, the more businesses I could start, the more businesses I have, the more money I'm gonna make.
Exactly.
But no, because all my other streams of income, apart from my 9-to-5 and the property, is content creation. So it's actually technically one thing that I'm doing, I'm focusing on, but that's able to generate money in different ways,
different avenues.
So don't feel like you have to be starting like you have to have a lash business, a hair business, a this business, because the likelihood of one of them doing well is quite low, because you're not giving it the time and attention it needs to actually blossom.
That's very right.
Yeah.
On the topic of content creation, like I said, you're nearly at 120,000
crazy
followers.
number.
Crazy. How have you found content creation? Do you have any tips for aspiring content creators out there to monetize on their personality, to monetize on their skills, and just content in general? What tips
So
would you
how have I
that?
found content? That's a good question. It's definitely been up and down. And that's when about content creation, like it can be so up and down. Like there's times where like it feels great, you know, like you put out something, people are loving it, it's helpful, it's like great, the feedback's amazing, and you're on a high, and it's great. And then you can just have an accident, you can just mistakenly just put something out there that people actually don't really like that much. Or it wrongs people up the wrong way. Or sometimes you see that one comment, and it's so mad how the one negative comment will just stick out so much and like feel a bit. But I think I've learned to like overcome that now. But especially at the start, I'll see like a negative comment and it'll get to me because I'm not used to just being criticized by strangers. You know. So yeah, that it's definitely been an up and down journey. But in general, I feel like the good outweighs the bad so much more. So much more, to the point where you can ignore that. Like, well, at this point, I think I've gotten to the point where it's easier to like ignore like any negativity. But that is the downside.
Exactly.
And it's just that the fact that you might find yourself spending a lot of time online. Like a bit too much time online than you should, which we all know is not that great. You shouldn't be spending that much time online. But content creation has been life-changing.
Wow.
To be honest, it's been life-changing, not just for me, but for, you know, with some of the comments that I get, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad I found your page. This is so helpful. Or I've been able to get a pay rise. Or I've been able to get a job. Or I feel much more confident. Like, you know, just those comments are so intoxicating. Yeah. Like, it just makes me like, oh my gosh, I want to give more.
You want to do more.
To the girlies that are watching. Because, like, we need to make this happen. So content creation is something that there's so much good that can come out of it. You know, you can start things, you can start get money. You can start working with like dream brands that you would have never dreamed of working with. And it's like, I personally feel like anyone can do it. To be honest.
I think you're a testament that literally anyone can pick up their phone and make content and really build such an amazing platform and help people, but also make money from it at the same time.
For sure.
It's like a win-win.
No, it really is a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation. And in terms of like the tips, I think you asked about tips. I would say that when I really started to see some growth was when I really was focusing on one platform. Like, I feel like it's important. This is my advice in terms of how I was able to kind of grow to an extent. I think that it's important not to spread yourself too thin, trying to be super consistent across multiple platforms. Like, it's okay to repurpose across platforms, but when it's just you, when you're just starting out, I think it's really, there's power in focus. Like, really learning that platform, because every platform is so different, you know? Like, they might seem so similar. It's like, oh, short form video here, short form video. But actually, they work very differently.
They all have their different cultures.
They have different cultures, for sure. And they have different, like, they're just different. Even though it's short form content, for example, it's still different. So you need to learn and actually really understand that platform, understand, like, the hook, understand how to hashtag, understand that platform. Because that's when you understand that platform, and you know what people are coming to that platform for, is when, trust me, you really start to grow, because now you're understanding what people want and you're giving them more of that. So it's really important to understand the platform.
I think what you're trying to say too, because I struggle with it too, is that you trying to grow on different places at the same time. And just like how you said before, when you really focus on one thing, you really see that blossom, and then you can move on to the next.
100%.
Because that's what you,
because I had a coaching call with a girl, because I offer like personal branding coaching as well, and like content creation, like coaching sessions. And I was telling her that what you want to do if you're starting out with short form content is get to a point where your short form content can pay for your long form content. And that's the thing, because I feel like right now, because I focused on the short form content, my short form content can actually pay for like an editor if I wanted to be on YouTube. It's my content is paying for my content, and it's like an ecosystem.
Exactly.
And it's easier for me to be consistent on YouTube now, but now I'm on TikTok already, but I don't have to be the one editing my YouTube videos. Do you get what I mean? But it's also not money that's coming out of maybe my savings.
It's
directly, like, it's a business kind of funding itself almost, if that makes sense.
That's a really good tip, really, is let the content, short form content,
it can pay for your long form content.
Because YouTube is not cheap.
It's not. It's really not.
It's really not cheap. I mean, of course, you can pick up a phone, you can record, but if you really want to scale and grow, like one thing I always say too is it's really good to outsource.
Yes.
Sometimes when you do things yourself,
Yeah.
everything yourself, you're gonna get burnt out.
You're gonna
You
get
don't want to
burnt
do
out.
it.
And the quality's not gonna be
And
that
the
great.
quality is not going to be the same, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for long form content, it's definitely, I would always recommend outsourcing your editing.
for sure.
If you're really good
Get
at
help.
editing, then fine, do it yourself.
Yes.
Maybe outsource something else, whether that's the SEO, whatever.
Yeah.
When you do that, your short form content is then paving the way and paying for your long term content, because
Long-form, yeah.
it's not cheap out
It's
there.
not, it's not.
So
Especially if it's just you doing it, and especially if you have a 9 to 5 alongside it.
gosh, it's
And
a
that's why I
full-time
think
job.
that's why I think it's important to start with. Sometimes it's easier to start with short form content.
It is,
because it's like something you can do alongside
you have an
your 9 to
audience
5.
already, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That too.
sometimes it's easier to move that audience
Over
into
to
a
long
different
form.
channel.
But at the same time, I know a girl, like the podcast I went to, Gabby, she started a podcast kind of like what you did, and it's doing very well. You know, it's like she's growing that, and then now she's converting that into short form content.
Oh, okay.
But-
so she did it the other way around.
Yeah, but the difference is that
good.
that's going to take an investment from you initially, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you have no capital, then you start with short form and
form.
work your way to long form.
Yeah.
But if you have money to invest in long
Then
form,
why
then
not?
do it. Do it.
And the day's your life.
Be like Annabel.
Exactly. Honestly, if you have the startup course, but then again, I use my 9 to 5 income
Yeah.
in order to
fund
fund, and but sometimes that's like there's a conscious decision that you have to make.
Yeah.
If you have savings there, if you do have that startup course, then fine, do it. But if you don't be like me. Start with
because you'll be struggling.
It's expensive. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
can
If I'm like, to be fully transparent, running a YouTube channel or a podcast,
Podcast is not cheap.
Yeah, because you've got the equipment, you've got the editing and all of that. But at the end of the day, you do reap the rewards. Like, you meet amazing people, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So
Cute.
So one of the ways that I found you on TikTok is about all your interview tips that you give out, and it's not like the cliche everyday interview tips. I think one of the ones that I really love is the questions that you should ask in interviews, because I've used them before and they really do work.
Love that.
Especially when one of them was, is there anything that you see that I haven't, what's it? I always get confused.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you see in this interview that I could ask more, that you're a bit
Yeah,
worried
like
about?
do you have any concerns?
Any concerns,
like based on the
exactly,
interview, do you have any concerns about my ability to perform the role that I want to address?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is such an amazing question to ask, because first of all, you're putting yourself out there, you're opening yourself up for
It's a
constructive
bold move.
criticism.
Yes.
And plus, it's also your chance to clear up a few things that they may think that you can't do, and you can also add and be like, no, really, I can do it.
Yeah.
So what other interview tips that you say has really worked for you, or just interview tips in general, that, you know, the girlies can
Girlies.
go for?
Yeah, like even that interview tip, like the one you just said, the question at the end, you know, that literally split people, because that video went super viral.
Yes.
And there was people like split. Like some people were like, oh, this is an amazing question. And literally even today, someone commented on that same video from months ago saying, oh, I got the job. And it's helped so many people. They're like, oh my God, like I literally got the job because of this question.
Yeah.
And then there's people there's comments on there, if you go on there right now, people saying, actually, no, that's a terrible question, you shouldn't ask that. So that's the thing about
take it as you want.
Yeah, like interviews, but it's worked great for me. Like literally the most recent contract role I had, I literally asked that question, like, these are things that I'm doing and they're working, and that's why I'm sharing them. And and they literally said something, and I was like, oh, like that's something I can do, and I was able to like demonstrate it to them, and they were like, and they said, oh, that was reassuring to know. And I'm, you know, I think that played a huge part in me getting that role.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I think it's important to ask good questions at the end of an interview. It is. It's important to ask questions that kind of challenge the interviewer as well. Questions that make them think, not just the basic, oh, when do I start? Oh, what time is it a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4? Like those basic questions. Like you want questions that make them think, oh, this person kind of knows their stuff.
Exactly.
And then they can even think about it, like, oh yeah, like questions that really challenge a little bit the interviewer. I think anyone would really appreciate that, because it's like, oh, we're bringing in someone that's gonna maybe challenge things a little bit.
Exactly.
So I think it's really important, and I think even the way to approach interviews, you can't. I think, well, it's easy to say, but it's harder to do, isn't it? To not approach interviews super rigid way and just know that it's a conversation. And these people are just people. Like I've been in an interview before. I've been on the other end of an interview before, and I'm so silly. Like I'm not even. It's not even that deep.
It's not that deep.
Yeah, like these people will be on. You find them at the pub next to you on the table dancing. Like, and these are people that are interviewing you, and you're so scared. But listen, I get it because I've been there. Like I've been there, and you know, even today, if I'm going to interviews, I'm sure there's going to be like some nerves there. But I think it's important to just know that these are just people, and they just want to know. They already think that you're good enough because your CV, they've invited you over, and just know that they're people, and just kind of try and just be as casual as possible, you know. Like it's just, I can't like stress enough how important it is just to know that they're just people and don't build up this narrative in your head that, oh my gosh, like it's life or it's life and death.
Exactly.
But I'm acknowledging that that's a lot easier to say than do, because when those nerves come, they're natural. But just feel the nerves, like let the nerves be, because it's so natural. Don't panic because of the nerves, but also just know that I'm just here to have a conversation. And if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's not meant to be, it won't be.
You move on. And
just know that you've tried your best. Like I'm a preparer when it comes to interviews. I like to prepare, you know, prepare some scenarios that might come up, just prepare. I like to feel prepared because that gives me confidence. So whatever it is that makes you feel confident going into that interview, like do it leading up. Some people don't like to prepare, and that makes them feel confident.
Like me sometimes.
And
it makes me feel more natural.
Yeah.
But I do know sometimes I do need to actually prepare. Like the history that I'll do, like I think the bare minimum. I'm not sure if this is like amazing advice, but it works for me because it makes me feel comfortable. I mean, I will know as much as like the history, the ethos, whatever, them kind of things, and the role. But I'm not gonna go as far because I just want to feel more natural. But it's the same. Whatever makes you feel that, whatever's gonna make you feel confident
and prepared,
then do it.
Because everyone's so different. It's, you know, everyone's so different. So it's important to just know yourself. And maybe take some time off socials to do that. Because I feel like sometimes, like I get quite a few comments of people saying, oh, you know, I'm confused, I don't know what to do. And people are just so confused. And I feel like sometimes social media, there's so much information on there. And especially if you're a bit younger, it can be very confusing. So I know this is like a bit off topic, but
it's true.
It's really important that just take some time off social a little bit. And even sometimes I still have to do that because we're all susceptible to all these opinions and stuff like that. So I think sometimes it's good to take a bit of a step back. Get to know yourself. That word I struggle to say for some reason. Reevaluate. And then come back and then
exactly. I completely agree. At the end of the day, the person that's interviewing you is a person. Like you said, they already think you're good enough because they invited you over. You just need to close the door, and literally it's showing your personality. If it's for a permanent role, more time they just want to see if you fit in. With the team.
100%.
Like,
literally, they want to know that, is this someone that I can come and work with? And
exactly.
Cool? Like people want to work with people that they like. So try and show some personality. Like introduce yourself professionally, but maybe at the end of tell me about yourself. Just give them a little bit of like, and like, you know, I like to do this in the weekends, or I like to like DJ, you know, or I went to the south of France, like I don't know, whatever it is that you do.
Honestly,
and then just chuck that in there. Humanize yourself a little bit, because that goes a long way. To be honest, it shows that you're comfortable. It shows that you're confident, and it shows that, you know, you're yourself. Like that's really important as well. I completely
agree. Oh my gosh, thank you for that advice. We've come to the end of the pod. Oh my gosh, Kennie, literally, thank you so much. Like I said, I feel like I was telling Jordan that I'm starstruck.
Oh, stop. Oh, no.
I'm actually being honest. No. Like, I was literally telling I'm starstruck.
It's just me, babe.
No. It's not just you, because I've been following you for like even when I prepare for interviews, everything, your videos is what I come for. And I know a lot of people have seen so much help from you. You've got so much help from you. Glad. And it's such an inspiration to just see another black woman killing it.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, honestly, in the career space, in self-development, in finances, it's really nice to see. And it just shows that anything, like we can literally do anything when we put our mind to it. With just consistency, determination, we can literally do anything. So thank you for being like a testament to us girlies here, and somebody that we can follow and get so much info. Like honestly, thank you. And thank you for being on the pod.
Of course. Honestly. This was so good.
Thank
We
you.
covered so much. Like,
We
thank you
did.
for having me.
No, honestly, it's an honor.
Thank you.
It's an honor, and I really hope we see you more in the future.
Yes.
And I can't
Let's
wait
do it.
to see what else you put online, and
Thank
just to see you grow in general.
Oh,
like,
thank
I'm
you.
so excited.
That's
So
really
thank
kind.
you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
I can't wait. Like, this is so good that you invest in yourself like this, like in the
Aw,
podcast. I can't
thank
wait to see
you.
it grow. I'm like, oh, I was there when it
Yes.
first started. I was there.
Literally.
No, keep doing what you're doing, girl.
Thank you.